Im-sol, watching the shocking news of Sunjae's stabbing. Overwhelmed, she rushes to the hospital and finds Sunjae's father in tears. Determined to help, she heads to Sunjae's home to search for the time-traveling watch. While there, she is confronted by In-hyuk, who blames her for Sunjae's misfortune. He dismisses her efforts, telling her that Sunjae lost the watch long ago and never recovered it. A distressed Im-sol returns home to find her mother watching the news. Reporters claim that Young-soo, the attacker, held a grudge against Sunjae for helping rescue Im-sol in a 2009 kidnapping incident. Confused, Im-sol questions her mother, learning for the first time that Sunjae had risked his life to aid the police in catching Young-soo. The next day, Im-sol seeks out Tae-sung's father, who had been the lead detective on the case. With his help, she gains access to the old case files and reads Sunjae's witness statement. The report reveals that on May 10th, Sunjae found her belongings scattered on the street. Hearing her screams, he called the police and rushed to the scene, where he bravely fought off Young-soo, saving her life. Tae-sung's father explains that Young-soo's release had been monitored, but the man acted before they could warn her. Haunted by guilt, Im-sol dives deeper into the case files. In one of the photos, she notices the time-traveling watch among the evidence. When she contacts Tae-sung's father, he informs her that all items from the case were returned to their owners. Desperate, she searches everywhere, only to find her grandmother wearing it. The quirky but enigmatic grandma hands it over, leaving Im-sol puzzled by how she seems aware of the time travel. With the watch in hand, Im-sol vows to fix everything. She activates it and finds herself back in March 2009 on top of a horse statue at her college. Tumbling off, she lands straight into Sunjae's arms, who looks at her with adoration. Embarrassed, she runs away. Her friend Hyunju catches up, teasing her about avoiding Sunjae. Before leaving, Hyunju hands her a bag, asking her to bring it the next day. Determined to make things right, Im-sol goes to the police and files a report about her first abduction. She provides evidence and mentions the connection to the Juyong Reservoir incident. Her claims draw attention, and her case is assigned to Tae-sung's father. On her way out, she misjudges a situation and accuses Tae-sung of bullying a young boy. It turns out he was helping the child find lost money. The misunderstanding resolved, they catch up over a meal, reminiscing about old times. As fate would have it, Tae-sung accidentally swaps his bag of laundry with Im-sol's. Meanwhile, Sunjae confides in In-hyuk about Im-sol's odd behavior, but In-hyuk brushes it off, teasing him about a song Sunjae wrote for her. Im-sol's efforts to avoid Sunjae falter during a school trip. From losing a drinking game and dancing in front of his group to accidentally wandering into a wild boar area, their paths keep crossing. When she steps on a trap, Sunjae saves her yet again, but her insistence that he leave her alone leaves him hurt and confused. Later that night, while watching over a drunk Im-sol, Sunjae hears her muttering about being from the future and accidentally kisses her while trying to carry her back to camp. Meanwhile, Young-soo stays one step ahead of the police, burning down his hideout before they can collect evidence. The following day, Im-sol learns of the fire and grows anxious, fearing Young-soo will target her. Packing to leave, she encounters Sunjae, who confronts her with unexpected questions. How does she know about his unreleased song? And more importantly, is she truly from the future? Im-sol fumbling to explain her time-traveling escapades to Sunjae, likening it to something out of the Terminator. But each time she tries to reveal too much about the future, the world around them seems to freeze, stopping her mid-sentence. Sunjae, skeptical yet intrigued, asks how his watch became a time machine. Im-sol speculates it might be tied to his heroics in the past. Though the explanation leaves more questions than answers, Sunjae chooses to trust her. When he asks her outright what she intends to change, Im-sol denies saying anything about altering the future, despite her drunken confession. She apologizes for the confusion she caused in the past, and in return, Sunjae announces his decision to leave for the US for rehabilitation. This shocks Im-sol, but Sunjae leaves before she can respond. Later, Sunjae confides in his friends, asking if they believe in time travel. They laugh it off, saying it sounds like a far-fetched excuse someone might use to avoid facing their feelings. Meanwhile, Imsol grapples with Sunjae's impending departure, convincing herself it's for the best, even if her heart aches at the thought. Meanwhile, Eclipse, In Hyuk's band, hits a snag. Their recent submission to a reality competition has been accepted, but Sunjae's presence is non-negotiable for the audition. In Hyuk hesitates to share the news, especially after hearing Gyeondeok mention that Imsol personally asked him to send Sunjae abroad as quickly as possible. Hurt and frustrated, Sunjae accuses In Hyuk of using the band as a pretext to manipulate his choices. Elsewhere, Imsol meets Tae-sung's dad to review her case. The detective reveals they've recovered critical evidence linking Young-soo to the reservoir incident. Elated, Imsol begins recalling more details from her kidnapping, including the make and model of Young-soo's truck, which she shares with the police. Back at school, Imsol notices Im-geum awkwardly avoiding Hyunju, clearly flustered by their accidental kiss. Meanwhile, Sunjae's classmate grows bolder in her attempts to get closer to him. Imsol brushes it off until she sees them together at a bar later that night. Hyunju, drunk and passed out, leaves Imsol to handle the bill. But when the lights dim for a birthday celebration, she accidentally drops her coins and ends up crawling under Sunjae's table. From her vantage point, it looks like Sunjae and the other girl are about to kiss. Flustered, Imsol ducks away before she can see the truth. Sunjae pushed the girl back. Chaos ensues when Imsol's phone rings under the table, revealing her presence. Embarrassed, she covers herself with a trash bin and bolts from the bar. Sunjae's friends tease him, noting that Imsol's jealousy is evident. Sunjae, however, doubts she feels that strongly about him. Later, on a rooftop, Imsol and Im-geum commiserate over their romantic woes. Im-geum vents about his feelings for his ex and his confusion over Hyunju, while Imsol fixates on Sunjae's kiss with the other girl. When she kicks out in frustration, her slipper flies off, hitting Sunjae, who happens to be passing below. Startled, she rushes to confront him, denying any jealousy and insisting he's free to do as he pleases. Hurt by her dismissiveness, Sunjae asks if she's ever truly cared for him during any of her time-traveling escapades. Her firm no leaves him disheartened. Meanwhile, Tae-sung overhears news about Imsol's kidnapping case and becomes concerned. He visits her at school to check on her, carrying flowers in a gift bag, which sparks rumors among their classmates. Sunjae spots them together, fueling his jealousy. Tae-sung hands Imsol her lost uniform and agrees to deliver an important message to his future self: protect Sunjae in 2023. Though confused by her cryptic request, he promises to honor it. That evening, a burst pipe floods Bok-soon's shop. Sunjae and Tae-sung arrive to help, and what starts as teamwork devolves into a competitive display of strength. The two nearly get electrocuted when a dangling light bulb falls, but Imsol shuts off the circuit just in time. Afterward, Bok-soon insists Tae-sung stay the night, much to Sunjae's chagrin. To avoid further tension, Sunjae offers his own place instead. At his apartment, Tae-sung notices Sunjae's plane ticket and questions his decision to leave. When Sunjae hesitates, Tae-sung reveals that Imsol's request to protect him stems from her deep concern. Encouraged, Sunjae resolves to get to the bottom of her mysterious warnings. Days later, Eclipse attends their audition without Sunjae, who is set to leave for the US. Imsol overhears this news and rushes to the airport, arriving just as his plane takes off. Heartbroken but resolute, she convinces herself his departure is necessary to keep him safe. As she walks home, she spots a truck resembling Young-soo's and panics, running aimlessly until she collides with Sunjae. Shocked to see him, she breaks down, realizing the truck was a false alarm. Sunjae calms her and reveals the watch he recovered from their time capsule. After piecing together her cryptic clues, he deduced his fate in 2023 and her desperate attempts to prevent it. He tells her he's willing to face whatever comes, as long as they face it together. In a tender moment, Sunjae cups her face and kisses her, softly at first, then with unspoken passion. Imsol finally surrenders to her feelings, and for a moment, time seems to stop. Not as a warning, but as if the universe is holding its breath. In a flash forward, news outlets announce Eclipse's new album, but Sunjae is no longer part of the group.